Now 10:07, we will start our hearing this morning. My name is Tamisha Civil, and I will be chairing this hearing for the nomination of Toiya Taylor. I will be reading a letter from the governor. Dear councilors, I am pleased to nominate Toiya Taylor to the position of Associate Justice to the Probate and Family Court. I submit this nomination for your advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Governor Maura Healey. This morning, we have our councilors, Councilor Dolan, Councilor Iannella, Councilor Ziegler, and Councilor Kennedy. And Toiya, I will ask you to present your first witness, please.
Thank you. I would like to present the Honorable Anthony Owens, retired clerk magistrate from the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. Thank you.
Folks, if you would, good morning. If you'll allow me to read. Thank you. I'm honored to appear before this council and to have an opportunity to speak on behalf of my former colleague, Ms. Toiya L. Taylor. My name is Anthony Owens, and as you heard, before retiring last year, I was employed by the Massachusetts Trial Court for 3 years. The last 20 was spent as clerk magistrate of the Boston Municipal Court, Dorchester Division. It was approximately 15 years ago that I first met Toiya Taylor, who at that time was a sole practitioner and had come to Dorchester Court. Many years later, in 2022, I had the opportunity to interview and ultimately hire Ms. Taylor, who now serves as First Assistant Clerk Magistrate at the Dorchester Division under Clerk Magistrate Dana Rutherford and First Justice Jonathan Tynes. Realizing that I have limited time to share my comments, I ask for your indulgence and to allow me to lead with my overarching point instead of closing with it. My point being that in my opinion, based upon my understanding of the many duties of judges in the probate court department, Ms. Taylor's experience, depth of knowledge, and other attributes would make her an outstanding addition to the probate court bench. You may have before you, but I ask that you review Ms. Taylor's resume, which reflects the extent of her work over the last 25 years. First Assistant Clerk Magistrate in Dorchester Court, clearly one of the busiest courts in the state, and the busiest within Boston Municipal Court when one looks at case numbers and employee head counts. First Assistant Register, the Suffolk County Probate Court. And as we all recall, COVID. She was the first assistant during that COVID pandemic. With more time, I would share stories from attorneys and other individuals who reported being personally assisted by Ms. Taylor as she manned the probate court counter during staff reductions. Ms. Taylor has been a sole practitioner, an adjunct professor, a legal aid instructor at Harvard Law School, staff attorney at Aid for Incarcerated Mothers, and a mentor for CPCS, their Office of Children and Family Law Unit. Her impressive resume reflects the depth of her experience and her lifelong commitment to her Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority motto of service to all mankind. But like most resumes, let's be honest, it only tells half the story. It's her soft skills which make her, as I said earlier, outstanding. If many of us were to take an unbiased look at the folks around us, and look for the most effective individuals with whom we work or supervise or anything else. We generally see an individual like Toiya, who works harder than most, supports the core mission of that agency or group, who has a strong work ethic, who supports teamwork, who has a digital literacy that helps them manage time and heavy work volume. They are the go-to people, like Toiya, who basically get things done. Ms. Taylor is that person, a most effective individual. Behind me is my colleague, Helen White, who may have just stepped out the room, I'm sorry. But she will tell you how impressed we were as we interviewed Ms. Taylor for the position at Dorchester Court. Over the years, Toya's commitment and gracious manner have never changed. In fact, I gained an even greater appreciation as I watched her thoughtfully listen, show patience, and made sound legal and management decisions as we worked together in Dorchester Court. She is a person of unquestionable character, a mother, a wife, colleague, deeply committed to the work of the trial court, and I know she would be deeply committed to the work of the probate court. But most importantly, she's deeply committed to the people of this Commonwealth many of you represent. So, council members, ladies and gentlemen, I've shared only a few of the many reasons why I say Ms. Toiya Taylor would be an outstanding addition to the probate court bench. She has my greatest support and appreciation, and I pray that as this day ends, she will have each of yours. I thank you for your time.
Sure.
How's your retirement?
Enjoyed
it?
I am enjoying my retirement, but I am missing Dorchester Court and all that we did there.
You did a great job. Thank you for your service. It was pretty difficult to find a replacement for you that could fill those shoes, but we kind of got there.
I would say give him a day or two and he'll be well beyond me.
Any other questions, councilors? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Stoll.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.
And we have your other witness, Honorable Rivers.
The Honorable Janine D. Rivers, First Justice, Suffolk County Probate and Family Court.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I just wish that I had gone before Mr. Owens, because that was quite eloquent and absolutely. And I actually will repeat a lot of what Mr. Owens said. As Toiya indicated, I'm currently the First Justice of the Suffolk Probate and Family Court. I had an opportunity to work with Toiya. Actually, I've known Toiya for over 21 years now in a personal and professional capacity. And I also had an opportunity to work with Toiya while she was the first assistant at Suffolk Probate and Family Court. Toiya is just one of those people that you can count on wherever, whenever, time and time again. Toiya is always there for encouragement, guidance, advice, or just to listen. I had the opportunity to practice with Toiya, and there were many times that we were not on the same side. And I note that she was a formidable opposing counsel. Toiya was always prepared, knew her cases inside and out, and had a command of the law. I was able to witness firsthand Toiya's zealous advocacy on behalf of her clients. Thinking about what to say today, I was reminded about a client that we shared where I initially represented this young man as a guardian ad litem in probate, and a care and protection had been filed. So I remained on as the guardian ad litem, and Toiya was the young man's attorney, and I know she knows who I'm talking about.
And I happened to be speaking to our mutual client, and he mentioned that he was hungry. So I immediately called Toiya and I said, A is hungry, no questions asked. Toiya said, okay, I'm heading over there, and she brought him some food. But that's just a demonstration of who and what Toiya is. She's always asking what she can do to help in any given situation. And she will go the extra mile for her staff, former litigants, colleagues, friends, and family. Toiya comes before you with a wide breadth of experience and knowledge. A practicing attorney, a magistrate, a manager, and a teacher. Toiya is also the type of person who is constantly striving to expand her knowledge base and has a willingness to learn. If Toiya does not know the answer to a question or a problem, she will dig and dig and dig until she finds that answer. Toiya is a hard worker. She's also thoughtful, insightful, upfront, and respectful, and overall a great person. Toiya absolutely, without a doubt, would be a great asset to the Probate and Family Court. I thank you very much for this opportunity to come here and speak on behalf of Attorney Toiya Taylor.
Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you.
Any questions, counselors? Yes.
No questions, just a comment. Thank you for your nice words on behalf of the nominee. You're doing an outstanding job as the first justice of the Suffolk Probate and Family Court. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I had tough shoes to fill, but, and I don't even try, so just, thank you so much. I do really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Questions, counselors? Okay, none. Is there any opposition? You can stand. And may I have your name, please?
Yes, my name's Courtney Best. I'm a member of the public. Do I have permission to speak?
Absolutely.
Okay. Please excuse my shakiness. I've never spoken in a forum such as this one, so I'll be reading from a letter. This letter is addressed to the Honorable Governor Haley, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, as well as the members of this council. Step over there. Okay. Is here good? Just to that chair. Sure. May I sit?
Yes.
My name is Courtney Best. I am a resident and a registered voter in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm writing this letter to oppose the appointment of Attorney Toiya Taylor to the position of Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. Toiya Taylor was employed as the first Assistant Registrar at the Suffolk Probate and Family Court in 2022 when I first encountered her. That was on March 22nd, 2022. I made a visit to the clerk's office at the Suffolk Probate and Family Court. I asked the staff member at the front desk who I would speak to regarding an impounded guardian ad litem report, which had been falsified and later removed from the docket, only to be placed with another. I was told that I would need to speak with Attorney Taylor. Our conversation was brief, as she swiftly instructed a court officer to remove me from the premises. I was completely confused, as I had not been disrespectful, loud, violent, or otherwise inappropriate. I had no idea what warranted this. I would later learn that Toiya had a previous non-romantic relationship with my ex-spouse, the other party in this matter. Not only did Attorney Taylor know the other party, she had previously acted as the guardian ad litem in a case 15 years earlier, which involved him being granted custody of another woman's child. By the time I learned this information, however, Toiya Taylor was no longer at the Suffolk Probate and Family Court. Ms. Taylor had moved on to the Dorchester Municipal Court. However, upon recently learning of today's scheduled hearing, less than 24 hours ago, I found it necessary to share my experience. For context, it has now been several years since I've seen my son. I have not held him nor shared a meal with him. For context, I am the mother of 4 children who range in age from 8 to 18. I have no history of abuse, neglect, mental illness, drug abuse, or otherwise. My parenting had never been under fire. until encountering the cabal which exists within the Suffolk Probate and Family Court and includes both Attorney Taylor and Judge Janine Rivers. I respectfully urge you to decline Attorney Taylor's appointment for the sake of other families and for the sake of justice. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Courtney. You may have a seat. Toiya, can you please introduce your friends and family that you have here today?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Civil. Court Magistrate Helen White from the Charlestown Division of the Boston Municipal Court. Retired Clerk Magistrate Anthony Owens from Dorchester. My dad, Dr. Gary Toiya, my husband Sean Fonts, my daughter Taylor Fonts. Allison Cartwright. Excuse me, Clerk of the SJC, but also my son Sean is here, who is in the corner. My other daughter was not able to be here. She is watching from Zoom. Very good friend Elisa Drayton, the Honorable Janine Rivers, Attorney Helene Tomlinson, Mr. David Mueller, Catherine Craven, Yvette Lane, my good friend, retired Justice Judith Dilday from the Probate and Family Court, Counselor-elect, Pastor, and Attorney Minyard Culpepper, retired First Justice Helen Brown Bryant from the Suffolk Juvenile Court, Chief Justice Brian Dunn from the Probate and Family Court, retired First Justice Terry Craven from the Suffolk County Juvenile Court, family friend Miss Marion, family friend Bill Moran. I've already introduced my son. We have April English, First Justice Tynes from the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court, Clerk Magistrate Dana Rutherford from the Boston Municipal Court.
And you may start your opening statement. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their nomination. Madam Chairwoman Tamisha Civil, all members of the Governor's Council for meeting and speaking with me. Attorneys Jesse Boodoo and Dara Kesselheim for their guidance. Sonia Altamirano and her team for assisting me through this process. All the members of the JNC for their review of my application. My witnesses, the Honorable Anthony S. Owens and the Honorable Janine D. Rivers. All my colleagues, mentors, friends, and family who took the time today to attend this hearing in my support. I was born and raised in the Dorchester section of Boston to Gary and Marina Brevard Taylor. Both of my parents demonstrated examples of hard work and dedication to their family. My mother worked at Boston Edison in the meter reading department from the time I was born until her retirement in the early 1990s. My father worked as a security guard while attending UMass Boston and later graduated from Tufts Medical School. Weekends with my parents were often spent at local museums and the roller skating rinks where my mother would include all of her nieces and nephews. My parents made it a point to expose me to role models who looked like me whenever possible. Thus, my dental hygienist, pediatrician, and orthodontist were all women and served as role models through my adolescence. My father also brought me to work with him during school vacations when he worked at Whittier Street Health Center in Roxbury. He introduced me to everyone in the center and explained to me what matters most is not one's job title, but that you work hard and take pride in what you do. Both of my parents worked long hours in order to provide for my brother and I, and often relied on extended family to assist with caring for us. I spent countless hours with my paternal grandparents, Christine and Lemuel Taylor. Although not formally educated, my grandfather worked hard with his garden in his mind. He was a skilled mason by trade and could fix almost anything. Once retired, he enjoyed completing necessary repairs to his church home, the historic Charles Street AME Church, working at the food pantry and watching Jerry Springer. My grandmother was the head of an usher board and worked part-time as a teacher's assistant when my uncle and I were in elementary school at the James Hennigan in Jamaica Plain. We would all drive into school together and go to our respective classrooms. One of my fondest memories of my grandmother as an adult is of her calling me on the telephone and explaining how it was so nice to see me in church on Sunday. And while my pantsuit was very nice, she preferred that I save it for work and reserve a dress and pantyhose for church. During the summer months, I spent a lot of time with my maternal Aunt Betty and Uncle Joe and their family. My Aunt Betty had a knack for sitting in her window in a way in which no one could see her, but she could see and report on everything that happened on our street, especially what time I left and arrived back home while my parents were at work. I attended middle and high school in Weston as part of the METCO program. However, I didn't really buckle down academically until junior year when attending college finally seemed like it was within a reasonable reach. I attended UMass Amherst and double majored in English and Women's Studies. During my sophomore year, I met my husband, Sean, who at the time was my resident assistant. Sean and I attended Boston College Law School together and arranged to be in the same first year section to enable us to care for our son, Sean II, who was then a toddler. Shawnee not only attended law school with us, but crossed the stage with me in his cool sunglasses as I received my Juris Doctor. Sean and I married the year of our graduation, and several years later became parents to our twin daughters, Amari and Taylor, who are now seniors at Wesleyan University and Emmanuel College. While I undoubtedly come from a loving family dedicated to hard work and education, we had our struggles. Our family dealt with substance abuse, mental health, loss due to gun violence, and even involvement with the criminal justice system when a loved one was charged with a serious crime. I remember setting up interventions with other family members in an effort to convince our loved one to seek treatment for their substance abuse disorder. I also remember the hurt I felt when other people would ridicule and antagonize our loved one due to their substance use disorder. I remember attending court in support of another family member and praying that my family and I would not be judged for our loved one's actions, and all the while hoping that our loved one would be treated fairly. We also mourned the loss of yet another family member to gun violence and supported each other, his mother, his sibling, and young child through this loss. We also faced medical challenges. My mother, the heart and soul of our family and center of my children's universe, was diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time. Although she fought hard to have more time with her family, her battle was ultimately lost. After her diagnosis, she made a special effort to have my children and spend every weekend with them. When she could no longer care for them on her own, she would stay with me on weekends. Although at the time I was a practicing attorney, wife, and mother of 3, I remember feeling like my world was shattered. Around that time, I received a guardian ad litem appointment for several young children who had just lost their own mother. I needed to visit them ASAP to begin my investigation. This proved to be incredibly therapeutic for me as I realized how blessed I was to have had my mother for so long, for her to have had the opportunity to teach me valuable life lessons and assist me in raising my own children. I was able to exercise patience and empathy when dealing with this family and follow their lead. I realized that they too were grieving and needed to tell their story, not just by answering my questions, but by having me hear what they found was important to them. Helping this family and so many others has been the most meaningful work I've done as an attorney. Representing hundreds of children, parents, and family members has truly been an honor. Meaning family members of the children, not my own. While matters in the probate and family court are often emotionally charged and involve a lot of trauma, I have worked to counsel each client by listening intently, focusing solely on them and their matter, and by providing their legal options in a way in which they could understand. I took extra care to make sure that I did this in a non-judgmental manner while still applying the rules of the law. I have done this by understanding that second chances are possible with hard work and addressing one's issues. I understand that litigants before the court are experiencing some of the hardest times of their lives and may not be their best selves. I also understand the vulnerability one faces when appearing before the court and perhaps being judged for their less than stellar actions. I understand litigants can be fearful and may even lack an overall understanding of the process. If I am afforded the opportunity to sit as a member of the judiciary, I will treat every person that comes before me with respect. I will make sure that each party has an equal opportunity to be heard, and when necessary, explain concepts and decisions in language that everyone can understand. I will apply the rules of the law with empathy and realize that every decision made, while necessary, will impact the lives of the litigant and their families before me. I thank the members of the Governor's Council for this opportunity and for your time and consideration. I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
Thank you for your opening statement. We will start with Counselor Dolan. First question.
Thank you. It's good to see you. I appreciated our conversation the other day. And it's lovely to see so many of your distinguished colleagues and family and friends here to support you. It just confirms everything that I gleaned about you in that discussion. So I just have a couple of questions for you. One is, and we talked about this, gatekeeper orders. I am concerned that the rise of AI is going to mean that it is easier than ever for parties to generate countless motions and flood the courts. Obviously, it's easy when there are countless motions to say that a gatekeeper is justified. But what's the line? When are they appropriate?
Thank you for your question. I believe gatekeeper orders are appropriate. First, under the new provision to the statute for 209A. Also, they are appropriate where you have a party who continuously files frivolous litigation that has no basis, and that then puts the other party in power.
Thank you. And the other thing I want to ask you about is ARCs. Because there can be so many parties in a divorce and a custody. There are the parties and their attorneys and everybody's therapist and the GAL and the parenting coordinator. When on top of all of that, is it appropriate to appoint an ARC?
I think it may be appropriate to appoint an ARC where you have, although you may have a lot of parties involved, you still have Party A and Party B both saying that they know exactly what the child wants. And they are so far apart that the court cannot tell exactly what that is. So at that point, it may be appropriate to then appoint an ARC attorney who can go out and represent that child's interest in what that child wants.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to speak with you. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Counselor Dolan. Counselor Ionella.
Thank you very much. First of all, right off, your counselor, strong supporter. As soon as your name was submitted by the governor, within a few days, she called me. She thinks you're great. And you know what? She's right. I really loved your presentation. It was eloquent. Your resume is outstanding. You've worked at the probate court, first assistant for a number of years. You know, I usually ask a lot of questions when it comes to the probate and family court, but I don't have any of you. You're going to be an outstanding jurist, and I look forward to voting for you when your name comes before the council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Ionella. Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination. And thank you for taking the time to have a conversation with me prior to today. I just have a few questions for you. And we had a lengthy conversation about your experience. It's no question that you do have quite a bit of experience that you bring to the table. For this role, should you be confirmed, there would be many complex cases that would come before you, before the bench. One of the questions I have for you is around your view on motions to continue. When would you find it agreeable? And in what instances would you deny a motion to continue?
Thank you for your question. I may find a motion to continue agreeable if both parties have assented to the motion. And if it appears that continuing the matter will not harm either party or the action at hand. I may take issue with a motion to continue. Number one, if it's not assented to.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I may take issue with a continuance, with a motion to continue. If one, it's not assented to. And then two, if it appears that first there have been several continuances, and that one party may be unfairly prejudiced by the continuance.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer. And I asked that question because one of the main complaints that I hear from constituents is the expediency of cases and how they feel that things are just drawn out in a way that is detrimental to them, to their family, may cause trauma. And so in a similar frame, how would you from the bench look to expedite the way in which cases are received and heard when it's appropriate?
I would first do that by being diligent. Pay attention to all the pleas that come before me.
Oh, my God.
Trying to get, bless you, and trying to get decisions out as quickly as I possibly could so that the matter could move along. Trying to be creative with scheduling dates,
Good.
perhaps a Zoom conference, trying to fit things in so that we can resolve the matter as quickly as possible.
One of the most prevalent issues that comes before the court is domestic violence, or our domestic violence cases. And we now have a more widened lens around how to approach these cases, with coercive control now being part of the conversation, though it should have been part of the conversation before. What is your experience with these types of cases, and how would you see yourself approaching these cases from the bench?
I approach each case by looking at that case individually, looking at the merits of that case, and also making a decision based on what is in front of me. I pay careful attention to cases that involve coercive control, as well as any that involve domestic violence and a request for a 2098 order.
My last question. So you're sitting before us because you're up for a promotion, essentially, right? A big one. This is a lifetime appointment, essentially. And you're coming with all this experience, but you're also coming with an idea of how you would lead from the bench. So this is a two-part question. One, what is the most impactful case that you have tried? And why does it stick with you? And two, how would you perceive yourself leading from the bench?
Thank you. One of the most impactful cases I had was a case that involved meeting guardianship petitions for a minor child. So on one side, you had maternal relatives. On the other side, you had paternal relatives. They were both equipped to care for the child. I don't think there was a question as to whether or not either side could provide for this child. However, it was very impactful. It was very meaningful to me because of several factors. Number one, although both sides independently were able to care for this child, as child's counsel, I had the realistic fear that no matter which side prevailed, this child would lose the other side of their family. My client was very deeply attached to both sides of the family. So it was very impactful to me in that way, advocating for my client's position, but also realizing and trying to craft perhaps an agreement that the parties would continue to work together for the best interest of the child. In terms of your second question, how I would see myself leading, I've got lots of examples in this room on how I would see myself leading. But in addition, I see myself leading by realizing that every litigant who appears before me, every attorney, every person is in fact an individual, looking at their cases and the merits and the allegations for what they are, as opposed to just a general lens. Being diligent, listening, having empathy for those before me, applying the rules of the law, and trying to explain things in a manner in which everyone can understand.
Thank you. I appreciate your thoughtful answers. To echo my colleague, your counselor is an avid supporter of you. and is excited about your nomination. So thank you. Thank you for being here and thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Counselor Ziegler. Counselor Kennedy?
I see that you at least attended UMass Boston for a while.
Yes.
I graduated from UMass Boston. And you also graduated BC Law. I graduated BC Law. I tell you, I'm really impressed with your education. You really qualified for anything.
You can thank my dad for that.
I'll tell you what I find most impressive about your resume is that time that you spent in private practice. You were there quite a while, at least looks like 6 years.
In private practice,
I'm reading the private practice, it says 2002 to 2018, is that right?
16 years.
You said
15 years, I'm sorry, yeah. Give me my education background. I'm impressed by that, because you know what it's like to run a private practice. I know that Council Ionel has been in private practice for a long time, as I have, as is Council DiPaolo and Council Dolan. And you know, you got to know what it's like to turn the lights on, to pay the secretary, to pay the bills, to you know what it's like to hustle out there. Because as a sole practitioner, it's not easy, especially for young people today. And I hope when you get on the bench, and I think you will be on the bench, that you remember that. Remember how hard it is on those lawyers that appear in front of you. Because it's very difficult when you talk about continuances, whether it's someone going on vacation or just jammed up because of other cases and trying to make a living. Always keep that in the back of your head that's behind it. I am incredibly impressed by the people you have in this room. You know, the people I've gotten to know over the years, all the clerks, all the judges, the clerk of the SJC, you don't get more important than that, I don't think. She's gonna handle it, if I get in trouble, and end up there, you know, I might need some help. But no, it's very, very impressive, group of people that you brought, people I've gotten to know over the years very well, some of them. You know, that says a lot. We had a very long conversation on the phone last week, where you answered all of my questions. I was very impressed with the questions, with the answers you gave me, and I think I already told you I was gonna vote for you. And I'm going to, and I'm looking forward to that. And I also have to say, they're right. She was a pain in the neck with you. She was very impressed with you. And I happen, there's only two people I'm afraid of in the world, my wife and her, so. I'm good. Thank you.
Counselor DiPaolo?
Thank you. Good morning. Congratulations. I'm sorry that I was late this morning for your witnesses. I know you have a very impressive cadre of support here. I also heard from Attorney Teresa Kone regarding your nomination. She was very positive, certainly Counselor Civil as well. I'm not going to ask any questions. Your experience is great. People I've spoken to say you're great. And there's people who go over things, especially having missed your first half of your opening statement, and I appreciated this. Thank you for that. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor DiPaolo. I really don't have any questions either. Most of my counselors asked you the questions that I would probably ask. But given the fact that you have a lot of supporters here, and we've heard a lot, my only question for you is transparency. How important is transparency for you when dealing with cases? Also making sure that you're advocating on behalf of the child, making sure that the child at the end result is protecting the child, and making sure that the child is in a position where they'll succeed regardless of the situation between two parents.
Thank you for your question. Transparency is incredibly important. I believe it's inherent that that's the only way that we can really get things done, especially when the probate and family court have to do with families. If you're not transparent in your order, it makes it very hard for litigants to have to follow that order. So I strive to be transparent in everything I do, and I will continue that, hopefully, if I have the opportunity to serve as a justice for the probate and family.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations on your nomination. It is 10:47. We are adjourned.
Bring to order. I want to read a letter from the governor. Dear counselors, I am pleased to nominate Frances B. Dallmeyer to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. I will submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Maura T. Kearley. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm delighted to have Frances Dallmeyer as our nominee this morning. And I would call upon Judge Mehta, who I believe is the first witness, to speak on your behalf.
Don't forget the law of brevity.
I cut it in half based on.
Excuse me, I am chairing this meeting.
So, thank you, Counselor Dillon. Good morning to all counselors. Thank you all. It is an honor to come before you today as a witness on behalf of Attorney Fran Dallmeyer. I was fortunate to be confirmed by this council in 2018. I'm now the first justice of the Air District Court. I have presided regularly in the courts where Attorney Dallmeyer practices. And I have personally observed that she is a tremendous criminal defense attorney. It's a hard job. There's not a lot of thank yous in the job. But she has done it because she understands that our greatest opportunity and our greatest responsibility as lawyers, as judges, is to respond. When people in our community who are the most vulnerable, the most powerless, make a mistake in the heat of the moment, or are victimized and need protection. In these situations, it is our collective responsibility to help them, to serve them, and that is what I've seen Attorney Dallmeyer do. But the way she does it is different. It's not just that she's the nicest person you'll ever meet. It's not just that everyone thinks the world of her. It's not just that she donated a kidney, although all these things are true. It's more than that. She has truly been a light in the darkness for the people that she's helped. District Court isn't always the most uplifting place, and Attorney Dallmeyer has had to represent clients who weren't necessarily the most sympathetic. There was one particular case where she and I did not necessarily agree, and she had some tough hearings, I would say, in Air District Court, but she never cracked. She never got upset. Instead, she marshaled every possible positive thing about her client. She even went out and gathered a huge stack of glowing character references about the client, and then she buried me in them. This took a long time. But ultimately, she got me to see her client the way that she saw the client. And then fast forward to the jury trial, she put the client on the stand, which is not always done. And she got the jury to see the client the way she saw the client. And she won. This is just one example of many. Today, Attorney Dallmeyer sits before you as an extremely accomplished and respected, yet humble attorney. If she is fortunate enough to be confirmed by this council, then she will be a light in the dark for the community that she serves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
What are you telling us? You disagreed. At the end of the day, she was right?
She might have. She got me from here to there. Let's just say that.
Thank you. And I want you to know I hear only good things about your work in AIR. So I observe as well. Thank you. It's true. Thank you for your service. Now, Attorney Michael Bowser.
Morning, Michael Bowser.
Time, so.
I'll keep it brief.
I am hearing the hearing.
All right.
You
Good
did.
morning. Michael Bowser, I'm a trial lawyer, been practicing for some 30 years. I believe Frances and I always like to call her Frances because it's a beautiful name and she's a beautiful person. We've known each other somewhere between 25 and 20 years. I was trying to think of when we met. It was somewhere between friends, neighbors, hockey rinks, sports, kids, golf, travel, and work. We actually shared office space for close to 15 years. Everybody thought Fran worked for me. She never worked for me. She was just a person that had space in my office, and we helped each other out constantly over that entire period of time. I actually kicked her out of my office. My office was busy, growing, expanding, and I knew I could ask Fran to leave, and she did. And ironically, her son, Sam, who is here with us today, sits in her office as my latest associate. That's how well I know Fran and her family, both professionally and personally. I am terribly biased in her favor. I don't know how else to put that. But from the Secretary of State's office this week, I got my notary reapplication, and it comes with this really cool map of the Commonwealth and all the counties, but it also has all the towns. So I went through this morning and I marked every courthouse, district court where I have appeared and my stuff has been judged and adjudicated and tried to verdict. I got up to like 50 before I got to the BMCs. They're too small to even appear on the map. But I think I'm well qualified to tell what makes a good judge, what makes a great judge, and also sometimes what makes a less than perfect judge. Fran has the courage, the smarts, and the decency to be a great judge. She's an athlete and she's competitive. She strives to do great work and she's scared to death to be unprepared. She has a book right here in front of her, and I see her in courtrooms, and I know Fran has a serious motion or hearing or a trial because she has her trial notebook, because she is always prepared. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do my trial prep on any given weekday. I've popped into my office back in the day at 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and she's 2 hours ahead of me. She's been there every morning when she has to be getting ready for whether she has 9 cases on as a bar advocate, one trial, or a hearing before a particular judge that she wants to be super prepared for. She's a lawyer that's willing to do other things. She's not just a great criminal defense lawyer. She's stuck her nose into civil litigation, business litigation, and done remarkably well. She asks questions when she needs to check her bearings, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen people approach her, our advocates, other defense lawyers, probation officers, court officers, to ask her what she thinks, because her bearings are almost always spot on and correct. I've seen that over and over. A good friend of ours sent in a letter, and she said you can measure the worth of a lawyer not by what they do in the courtroom, but what they do in the hallway outside of the courtroom, and the way that she treats her clients, the way that she speaks to them, listens to them. She's not going to be afraid to make difficult decisions. She's going to follow the law. I wish I could appear before her, but she's going to recuse herself, but it would be so much fun to be in front of her. And I travel a lot. I practice in 3 states. I go to courts all over the place. And I love when I'm in a new court and I don't necessarily have to be in a rush to get out of there. I love to sit and just to watch the way that any particular judge runs their courtroom. How do they talk to probation? How do they speak to their court officers? How do they interact with the clerk magistrate, the session clerk? But most importantly, how do they treat the parties and the litigants, and especially the pro se, the folks that are there without a lawyer? And we all know it's restraining orders, which is the first salvo and the end of a lifetime relationship. It's 35A commitment hearings. It's bail. She's going to have the ability to listen to the facts, listen to the evidence, and make very difficult decisions. And the entire time that she does it, she's going to do it with grace and poise and dignity, because that's the way she's always been. It's really hard to talk to Fran and not smile. She's very much, as Judge Mehta said, she brings light into every room that she goes before. She will treat everybody with that same grace and poise and dignity, and she'll move things along too. She's not afraid to tell people, get to the point, let's stay on point, let's get to the issue. But she's going to do it in a way that everybody's going to feel that they've been heard. They've had a chance to be heard, which I think is the most important thing in the district court. And she's going to listen. And then she's going to make swift and correct decisions. So I want each and every one of you to approve her as a judge. And I know that if you do so, you'll be proud for the rest of your careers that you did it. Thank you.
Does anyone, wait a second, does anyone?
Not done with you yet.
Counselor.
Well, you made that statement about been in all these courts and you know what would make a good judge and what would make a great judge. That sounds an awful lot like you're running for governor's council. Where do you live?
You have no interest in any elected position at all.
Had the same.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So much. Are there any witnesses in opposition to the nomination? No. Then Attorney Dallmeyer, we'd like to hear from you.
Good morning, counselors. Thank you for the opportunity to be here before you today. I want to begin by expressing a deep gratitude to Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll for nominating me to serve as an Associate Justice of the District Court. I'm truly honored by their confidence in me. I would also like to thank Jesse Boudou and Dara Kesselman, who have marshaled me through this process, as well as the members of the Judicial Nominating Committee who have carefully review applicants and serve as gatekeepers for this important process. I would also like to thank Sonia Altamirano and her team for guiding me as well. Finally, I'd like to thank the counselors who are here today, whom I've had the privilege of speaking with in advance, and I'm sincerely grateful for your time, your questions, and your consideration of my nomination. I wouldn't be here today without the love and support of my family. My husband of 35 years, Brian, is my best friend and my partner in every sense. Brian has, when I attended Suffolk University Law School at night, I was pregnant the first 3 years. And every day my husband would come home and he would take over the children so that I could pursue my degree. He's always been a steady foundation to our family. My oldest son, Jack, who's also present here, he graduated from Norwich University. He is amazingly generous with his time to people. He is the person everyone calls when something needs to be fixed or someone needs help. He works side by side with his father and his grandfather in our family business in North Chelmsford. My daughter Madison, also here today. She is a graduate of UMass Lowell and New England School, and Tufts Dental University. She recently was married to Alex, and he is the newest member of our family. He fits right in. My youngest son, Samuel, is here. He's a graduate of University of Maine, New England School of Law, and he now practices with Attorney Bowser in the Bowser Law Offices. One of my greatest joys in my career is walking into a courtroom and hearing "Hi, Mom" from another attorney. He's worked hard. I'm so proud of the work he's done. I'm proud of the fact that I've seen him second seat Attorney Bowser on an argument before the SJC. It's impressive. He's got great places to go. My children reflect the values which I was raised. Hard work, give back, and treat everyone with dignity and respect. I grew up in Worcester on the second floor of a double-decker. My parents were both lifelong public servants. My father was chief of probation for Worcester Superior Court. He attended Boston University on a basketball and football scholarship, and he later served in the Army. He was always about giving back to the community. He served as the commissioner of the Parks Department. He timed basketball games at Holy Cross, and he spent his Saturdays playing basketball at the Worcester House of Correction with the inmates. He taught me, I learned the important information from him, is that you respect every person regardless of their circumstance. And that is something that has stayed with me and through my upbringing. My mother, who passed away in February at the age of 94, was my fiercest supporter. She may have only been 4'10", but she filled every room she entered. She worked for the city of Worcester and had a deep faith that guided her life. She truly had a gift for connecting with people. Near the end of her life, while in rehabilitation, she knew her nurse's full story. She knew his children, the jobs he worked to support them. And she knew this because she talked to everyone and genuinely listened. She taught me to see people as individuals, to understand their struggles, and to treat them with kindness. She would have been so proud to be here today. I'm also fortunate to have my brother Jim, who is present, one of my greatest supporters, and Michael O'Brien, whom my parents befriended when he moved to Worcester. He became part of our family. My brother Jim is a retired chief of probation for Barnstable County. And I often mention that he has a superpower. He remembers every face and every name of everyone he's ever met. It's amazing. My brother has never stopped supporting me through this process that led me here today. When Michael moved to Worcester, he became a member of our family long before he became the city manager of Worcester. My parents welcomed people into our home on a regular basis. They would cook meals for the entire Holy Cross basketball team in a small little apartment because they thought everybody deserved a home cooked meal. They would invite people in from all walks of life. And I share these stories with you because they reflect who I am, the values that I will bring to the bench: kindness, fairness, humility, and service. Throughout my life, I've worn many hats. I've been a parent, a spouse, a coach, a CCD teacher, professor of criminal justice at UMass Lowell, and an attorney. And like many families, ours has faced significant hardships: tragic loss, healthcare crisis, my own breast cancer, and my husband's 2 kidney transplants. These experiences have deepened my empathy and strengthened my understanding that no single chapter defines a person's life. For nearly 2 decades, I've served as a bar advocate, meeting people during some of the most difficult times they will ever face. The professional experience I've had has helped me develop a strong understanding of challenges faced by individuals in the court, and I'm dedicated to ensuring that all who appear are treated with dignity, patience, and fairness. My career is always focused on helping people. As an intern in the summers with the Victim Witness Advocate program in the district attorney's office, as a social worker dealing with families in crisis, and as a practicing attorney in the district court for more than 20 years. I've seen the challenges people face up close. I've been in their homes. I understand instability, the fear, the financial stress, and the lack of support that so many people are battling with when they enter a courtroom. The experience has shaped my understanding of justice and the enormous responsibility that it is to be a district court judge. I believe my background as a lifelong public servant, as a bar advocate, as a teacher, as someone who's faced my own challenges, prepared me to serve as a fair and thoughtful and compassionate judge. I will listen, I will work hard, and I will treat every person who comes before me with equal respect. Thank you for your time and consideration, and if I'm lucky enough to be confirmed, it would be my honor to serve the people of the Commonwealth as an associate justice.
Thank you so much. Before we begin with questions from the counselors, would you like to introduce the folks who've come to support you today?
Yes, I would love to. You've heard from Michael Bowser. Sitting next to him is my husband, Brian, my brother, Jim, Judge Maida, my son, Samuel, my daughter, Madison, her husband, Alex, my son, Jack, the Honorable Judge Hardiman, and I actually can't. Attorney Feeman and Chief Court Officer Andy. Yes, Andy Megan. I also have several colleagues present in the courtroom as well as friends. Linda Dantes. I gotta put on my glasses. Robin. Agni, Rob, sorry, Susie and Lucia, Melissa Duffy, Linda Hill. Roland Millard. Sorry, Roland, I didn't see you standing there. These people surprised me, by the way. I was not expecting this big of a crowd, so I thank you. But I also have Robin and Myrna and Larry are all attorneys that work as bar advocates. They're all hardworking people who took the day off to be here today, and I'm overwhelmed with support.
Thanks to each and every one of them for coming. And now we'll begin with questions that customarily go to the right of the counselor who is presiding over the hearing. So that would be Counselor Iannella.
Thank you very much. First of all, your counselor is a big supporter of yours, Counselor Dolan. I don't have any questions. You have had a stellar career. You're well qualified. And when your name comes before the council next week, I'll be more than happy to support you.
Thank you,
I
Council.
did have one other thing. Attorney, I think I told you this, Attorney Bill Nealon called me in support of your nomination.
That's great. Counselor Ziegler.
Thank you, Counselor. Really great to see you again in person. Congratulations on your nomination. You know, it's clear that you have the experience, over 20 years of experience, doing the work. We share many commonalities. I too am a UMass Lowell graduate, so go Riverhawks. And actually, we met for the first time in April. You had attended a Pathway to the Bench panel that I hosted at the Mass School of Law, and we had a great conversation then. And I appreciate the conversation that we had just a few days ago with my son. I too have a Samuel. That's another commonality that we share. So that's 3 for 3 there. But I just have a few questions for you. You know, as a judge, you would carry immense weight to shape the lives of the individuals that come before you in the courtroom. There are many tools that can be used in order to adjudicate from the bench and to seek justice, one of them being diversion. So I wanted to see what your view of diversion resources are as a tool for justice. When would you see it appropriate to use that as a tool?
Well, there are many diversion programs that are available in the district court, one of which the emerging youth, the emerging adult programs, they actually take into consideration all the facts of Mathis and the facts that people are first time experiences into the district court. So it helps divert them out of the court and into a more rehabilitative type structure sentencing. There's a homeless diversion out of the Lowell court that it works on helping people with getting like benefits and on Section 8 housing lists, and helps them divert them away from the criminal justice system as well. Those are just a few of the diversion programs, but there are a lot, and I think that they're all really important to divert someone or to send them to perhaps a specialty court or somewhere where they can get help for their underlying needs, as opposed to treating them on a criminal basis.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because we know that in our conversation, we talked about resources that are available to the court and how there should be more resources available. And in this time when people are struggling economically with housing insecurity as well, having a good knowledge of the resources that are available to the court is going to be instrumental in order to truly seek justice for them. Additionally, we see barriers to access for resources for those who may be physically disabled or housing insecure. How do you approach granting folks access to resources that can assist them in a case?
Well, as a bar advocate, I'm aware, and as working with the CLE Committee, Greater Lowell Bar Association, we've talked about and had seminars that instruct attorneys about the most important thing to do is to learn, and instructing attorneys that you can ask for transportation costs if your client can't get transportation to the court. You can ask the court and the judge for that. You can also ask for like I've had clients who are not indigent but have hired me, but they're on the line, and I've asked the court for funds to hire an expert, because while they're close to the indigency line, they can't get a bar advocate, but the court can help aid in getting expert testimony to address their needs at trial. Those are some of the resources that as a judge you can grant.
So you have quite a bit of knowledge. And you've done so many different, you've been involved in so many different courts. What for you would be the greatest challenge transitioning from being an attorney to becoming a judge?
I think that the greatest challenge in the district court is maintaining the docket. Every day, it's a busy court. Every day, the court is filled with cases that are scheduled, but it's also a pedestrian court. It's a court where you can walk in off the street and be heard that day. So being genuinely heard by the person sitting up on the bench is important as hearing the cases that are already scheduled. And making the time for that and making it work and flow is probably the greatest challenge most judges face, and I will too.
And my last question is, this is a lifetime appointment. What type of legacy would you like to leave on the bench?
Everything I've ever done, like for my own personal career choices has always been to make an impact in people's lives, starting from the victim witness advocate to social work and then a bar advocate. And I just feel like this is a natural progression to make more of an impact, which I feel I can do from the bench, and I'd like that to be my legacy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you clearly have the knowledge and experience. You have the support. We've heard from your witnesses today and also received letters of support in addition to that as well. So, I appreciate that, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you. Like Councilor Dolan, who's a supporter of yours, I've known you for a long time. And we've seen you over the years, seen how you operate, see how qualified you really are. We've known each other for a long time. I've seen you try cases. I've seen you do an incredible job in court. I've seen your demeanor in court. I think you're going to be a perfect district court judge. Plus, Judge Mata brought me cookies. So I have to... I'm trying to give you like fresh relax. Plus, I've known you forever, you too. Thank you.
I thought I voted.
No. I'm all set. I'm voting for you. You already know that. We had a long talk. You sat down in my office.
Thank you, Council, again.
You're good.
Councilor DePaulo?
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I haven't been bribed, so I am going to ask you. But I am open to it. I really liked your application. First off, apologies because we didn't connect before this hearing. Being nominated around the holiday, it's tough for me. I don't know if it's tough for you.
Yes.
Exciting for you. Your application was awesome, both applications. And I'm just going to say this publicly just for other folks who are considering applying to think about. I get a sense of how you think and why you do what your why is by reading your application. There's a question that every applicant or nominee answers regarding the nature of the clients you've represented over the last several years. You went on for almost 3 pages, not saying mostly indignant facing challenges, enumerating the challenges they face, explaining what the impact that has, both as your role as an advocate as well as their experience in the court. So your application was amazing. So I'm going to ask you something that's hopefully going to be a softball for you, because I can see how you think. My favorite question in the application is always characterizing your views about how sentencing discretion should be exercised. And you wrote a lot about individualization, tailoring to specific facts and the person, not merely the offense. You wrote about how well-reasoned judicial discretion can promote rehabilitation and reduce recidivism. And you talked about some of the factors you'd consider: the person before you, the case before you, the situation before you. I'm wondering, you mentioned capacity for change of the person who would be before you as a factor you'd consider in exercising your discretion. Could you, you can be brief, but when you think about capacity for change in a person, how are you able to evaluate that from the bench, should you assume this role?
From the bench, I'm hoping that, and I can tell you that all the attorneys sitting in here in support of me are well-versed in presenting their client in the most possible light and raising all of those issues regarding upbringing, regarding age, problems that they face. So knowing that from the attorney arguing on their behalf it definitely helps make decision and sways discretion when it comes to sentencing, diversion, or even specialty courts. Those are all things that come into play, but knowing it's more than just the basic bail factors. There's more about a person that an attorney should be presenting. And I did speak with one of the counselors about the fact that I think education of attorneys is really important. Having bench bars, letting people know what's expected of them. Those are all things that will help present the person before you in the best light and identify their challenges and what brought them into the court in the first place.
I admire your work as a bar advocate, and there's a lot of bar advocates in the room. I admire their work as well. So I won't belabor things. I look forward to supporting you. I think you're an outstanding nominee.
Thank you, Councilor DePaul.
Counselor.
Thank you. Counselor Civil?
Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Dallmeyer, on your nomination. Thank you for taking the time to having a conversation with me and getting to know you a little bit better. You definitely qualify to be in this position, to be nominated as an associate justice. My question for you is, you have a compelling life story, personal experience, the hardships that you have gone through. What have you learned throughout those experiences, and how do you think it will impact you when you get on the bench dealing with people from the public that may be going through the same, if different?
Right, well, I think in our conversation, I described life as messy.
Yes.
A lot of things come up in life that take precedence over court, so requests for reasonable continuances to deal with that, those issues is something that should be taken into consideration. I think it's important that you understand that people have lives outside of the courtroom and that you address them and you address their needs, whether it's housing crisis or transportation crisis or the need for mental health or substance abuse treatment. All of those things should take precedence and over being before me so that they can address those issues. And if they need their case continued or they need some extra time, then it should be given.
Thank you. And also, we talked about indigent. Oftentimes defendants who come in, we'll use an example for OUI. They were working, they were making good money, but due to this OUI pending case, they're unable to get their own attorney. Having my own experience working with probation, what kind of relationship would you like to establish when they go into probation and we're unable to give them a bar advocate to represent them that day? What's some of the steps that you think you can take as a judge to make sure that cases are moving along, but also giving them an opportunity of getting an attorney for the day?
Excellent question. I think that there's a few things that the judge can do. One of them is a sliding fee. If they're borderline poverty level, or they weren't poverty level but are now, you can charge them more than the $150. You can raise it a little bit higher to make it more appropriate for the person. There's also accommodations that can be made throughout the course. They can reevaluate that financial statement at any time, especially when they've lost their job as a result of the charges before the court.
And we also talked about an organization that you have worked with, and you would like to continue that organization where they're supporting people that come in contact with the court, that provides housing.
Yes.
If you could talk a little bit about that, because I think that is wonderful attribute to have, and a connection to making sure that we're using all our resources in our court system.
I talked about Project North, which is a great program in the Lowell District Court that allows clients to come in and basically helps them get medical, housing, anything that they can help them fill out the paperwork. There's things that they may not even have a computer or have the ability to go online and apply for benefits, apply for help or aid from the community. And I think that program's great. They help people with Section 8 housing. They help people try to get into the necessary programs addressing substance abuse and mental health. So those types of programs that are available and knowing what's available is really important. I'm not sure if I told you, like one of the things that really moved me about Judge Coffey was when he took over the mental health court, he called the providers, he called BinFen, he called DMH, and he called all the providers in the area, and he had them come in and talk to us attorneys to tell us what programs were available and how to access them for our clients. And that was like, education is the most important thing, I think, for attorneys before the court and judges.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations on your nomination. Counselor Dolan is a great supporter of yours, and I look forward to supporting you when we're voting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Counselor Civil and Counselor Ionella, for saying I'm a great supporter of Attorney Dallmeyer's. It was not difficult to be a great supporter of yours. You're tremendously well qualified. I probably got 20 letters from people asking me to vote for you, telling me what a good person you were. And some were attorneys, but some were just people in your community who know you from just being around you, which I found just terrific. I appreciate your social work background. As someone with a social work background myself, I know how much that means and how much that can add to the practice. And I appreciate the fact that you taught at UMass Lowell. And I thank you for telling us about your family and especially about your mother. I'm sure that you made her burst with pride. And I want you all to know that Attorney Dallmeyer could not have been more right when he said that she is scared to death to be unprepared, because throughout this process, when we spoke, she kept asking me what she needed to do to prepare. And even yesterday, she called me and she wanted to know what she could do to prepare. And I said, oh, you'll do beautifully and just enjoy your moment. I hope that you are. I also told you I didn't think I was going to have time to ask you questions. Well, I do. But you know what? I don't want to ask you a question, but I would like your commentary on something. I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. I'm sorry I didn't ask you to prepare for this. We're seeing a significant and really troubling erosion in the presumption of innocence. Could you share your thoughts on that and what we can do to combat that?
On the presumption of innocence, I think that everyone is presumed innocent, and that is a constitutional right. You have to be, you have to take every case, every person before you as innocent until such a time as the facts are proven beyond a reasonable doubt. There is no, sorry about that. I just think that taking a person as innocent, because that's their constitutional right to presume they're innocent. They have not pled guilty. They have not said anything that will incorporate their guilt until they're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt before a court, before a judge or a jury. The erosion of the presumption of innocence, I think it just goes to the culture and what's going on in the country at this time. There's a lot of negativity going around. I'm someone who's always looked at the positive side, so I don't basically face that, but I do see it in people. So I think that's probably why. But we just need to instill some more confidence in the system.
I think so too. Thank you so much. I have no further questions. I look forward to voting for you, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
go ahead and call this meeting to order at 12:05 PM. I'd like to recognize Counselor Civil for a prayer, some brief reflections, and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. We made it through December, and it is very important that we continue to fight for our constituents and be dedicated to what we have sworn to do. Given the trajectory of our community and country, those who are without food, those who are facing homelessness, let us remember the opportunity and the things that we can do to help others by checking up on them, by supporting local organizations, to making sure that they are able to still live a quality of life. And we are so very grateful as all counselors to be in a position to get the support of the Lieutenant Governor and the Governor to make sure that not only that we're supporting them to do their job well, but also keep doing our part to make sure that Massachusetts continues to be the best state to live in. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everyone. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ianella with that snazzy tie on for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved, Governor.
Second.
It's been made by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Ianella. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd now like to recognize Counselor DiPaolo for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lori Beth Levitt Wheeler to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Hampton County Juvenile Court.
I offer that motion and I add that Counselor Jacobs asked me to point out her enthusiastic support for this nominee.
Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Civil. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd ask our secretary to please call the roll.
Counselor DePaul,
Yes.
Counselor Civil,
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ianella,
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
6 members voting, 6 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I think that concludes our business for today. You guys have got all your hearings scheduled, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Ziegler. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Civil. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Stand adjourned.